Barnaby Jones. Starring Buddy Epson. Also starring Lee Merriweather. With guest stars Shirley Knight, Jane Elliott, Quinn Redeker, Joshua Bryant. Tonight's episode, Fantasy of Fear.
I hate storms when I'm alone.
Well, thanks a lot.
You know what I mean. I wish Vincent were home.
Oh, look, why don't we call it a game? Your heart's not in it. It's like taking candy from a baby. Oh, I'm sorry. You know me. I only open my mouth to change feet.
It's all right. I'm going to have to learn to live with thunderstorms, words that hurt.
Don't start to brood, Kay. Won't bring Sandy back, and we don't want you sent away again.
It'll take some time.
Time's up. We all gave you a year with those high-priced shrinks. Now it's time you rejoined the human race, my friend.
I'm trying, Anne.
Kay, you've got everything. You have enough money to carpet the ocean from here to Hawaii. You have a beautiful man who loves you. All right, you're a rotten backgammon player, but you're a wonderful neighbor, and those are very hard to come by. So shape up and stick around.
I'm still here.
Look, you want to spend the night at my house? I'm dying to know if I snore.
No, I'm going to call Vincent, say goodnight, and then I'm going to bed.
Okay. And I would offer to help you clean up, but you're the only person I know who can afford disposable Dresden.
Do you want a flashlight? It's so dark.
My dear, when you have walked home from as many blind dates as I have, night and dark are the safest places there are. Good night.
Good evening. Phoenix Graybriar.
Hello, this is Mrs. Vincent Lewiston calling from Los Angeles. Would you ring my husband's room, please?
Just a moment, please. I'm sorry, ma'am. We show no Vincent Lewiston registered.
Well, are you sure? It's Lewiston, Lewiston.
I'm sorry. I have no Lewiston shown. Would you like to speak to the desk clerk?
No, that's all right. Thank you. Hello?
Mommy?
Who's this?
Mommy? Is that you, Mommy?
I'm afraid you have the wrong number.
I only had one dime left. Mommy said to call when I get out of the show. I don't have any more money.
Don't cry. Please, don't cry. Where are you?
The Colony Theater. Now I've got to walk home in the dark.
No, dear, don't do that. Just give me your number, and I'll call your mother for you. Hello? Did you hear... Hello?
bear, you see. How long was it before you went back to the car?
Half an hour. Maybe longer. I'd remembered I'd left the lights on in the car, but the panda bear was gone.
Could the panda bear have been stored somewhere where neighborhood kids might have found it and dragged it out to play with it?
No. After my daughter was killed, while I was in the sanitarium, Vincent, my husband, got rid of all the toys. Everything. I asked him to.
And if it was there, it would have been put there, and if it was gone, it would have been taken away.
If I'm not hallucinating or imagining things, I really can't be sure. I feel like my sanity hangs on that thin little two-letter word, if.
This photographer you spoke of, Robert Justin Black.
He showed up at the house a few days before what would have been Sandy's 8th birthday.
You said he claimed you had made an appointment.
Yes, to take Sandy's birthday picture. I sent him away. I don't think I was very nice.
Then on the day that would have been her birthday, the delivery boy came and brought a blue bicycle?
Yes, just like the one Sandy was riding on the day that she was killed by that hit-and-run driver.
Oh, dear.
Have you told this to anyone?
No, I wanted to, but I was afraid.
Who are you afraid of?
Me, I guess. The doctor didn't want me to come home quite so soon. And poor Vincent has enough to worry about. The truth is, I just don't want to be sent away again.
Your husband was in Phoenix.
Yes. He's had to travel a lot in the last 4 years. Since my father died, he's managed the company. I guess I've been very selfish. I've made him suffer all of his grief over Sandy alone.
Did you remember about bringing the picture of yourself I asked you for?
Yes. Here it is. My husband will be home. I should be there.
Oh, why don't you go? And just remember that you left all your troubles here.
I'll try. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Bye. Bye-bye.
Betty, why don't you start checking into the appointment record of that photographer? I'll see what I can do about clearing up this bicycle business.
Do you think it really happened? I mean, the way she told it.
Well, I'm certain of one thing. She believes it did.
What are you doing here?
Please don't call the sheriff, ma'am. Don't call him again.
Then what are you doing here? You have no business here.
Go away.
All of you, please. Just go away.
Hey!
Hello.
Vincent.
What's going on?
So glad you're back. Oh, it's those kids. I wish they'd find some other stretch of beach to find themselves on.
Honey, kids are going to be kids. If you're going to let them bother you, they're going to make a whole career out of it. How's everything else, all right?
Fine.
Good. Heard you had some rain last night.
I tried to call you at your hotel. They said you weren't registered.
Oh, how do you like that? Wonder how many other calls I missed. Some mix-up, I guess. Hey, I tell you what. I'll get changed and get out of my corporate tie, and we'll go for a walk on the beach. Where did this come from?
I don't know. Those kids, I guess.
Catch. A bicycle just like this one.
Well, that's not what I said. I said this is the bike.
Yeah, I know you did. I just wanted to be sure you remembered exactly.
Oh, I remember exactly. I had to call all over town to get a blue one. It had to be blue, she said.
Why did she want a blue one?
Well, she said that her daughter, Sandy, had to have a blue one.
When I was a kid, color didn't mean anything, as long as it had two wheels.
What's this all about, anyway, Mr.
Jones, Barnaby Jones. Well, I think somebody's trying to play a practical joke on some friends of mine. I just want to be sure. Did this lady...
Mrs. Lewis. I got her address right here on the delivery slip. She said to deliver it and that her husband would pay us when we got there, COD.
That's not the way it worked out.
Some people. I mean, I sent Eddie with our truck way out to Culver City to get it, right? And then he made a special trip way out to Malibu. And when he gets there, she jumps all over him, accuses him of playing some kind of a sick joke on her, and demands that he return it. And there it sits.
Well, I think I can explain part of it. This lady ever been in the shop?
It's a practical joke, all right. And it's still on me. Yeah, that's her, Mrs. Lewiston. You say this lady's a friend of yours, mister? Well, you better see that she gets help. Because she's just plain crazy.
Honey, listen. On those kids, if they keep bugging you, just wave at them. Drives them crazy to think you're friendly. Bye, baby.
Let's see now. Did I or didn't I? Can't be too safe.
Dan?
Dan, what are you doing here?
Morning. To send the boy Wonder off to play with your factory?
I asked you not to just walk in here like this.
I was just taking my morning constitutional and it ran out of gas. Always keep a light in the bar, coast to the coast.
Now, I don't care how many other houses you walk into and out of around here, but I prefer you came here when you were invited. Now, why don't you take your Bloody Mary and go?
Married me, you wouldn't be left alone here all the time, like some piece of driftwood.
You know, not being married to you is a blessing that grows brighter with every year.
Now, come on, shoo, go on.
You didn't used to talk like that. Not back in school. Summers out on Bar Harbor, necking on Scudic Point.
Oh, come on now, grow up. Stop reliving your childhood.
Our families expected us to get married. You let them down. Young Horatio Alger came in there and kidnapped you right out from under my nose.
Dan, if our friendship over the years means anything to you...
Friendship? I never found one other girl to take your place. Now look at me. Look what you did to me, Kay.
I'm sorry, Dan, but I'm not going to take the blame.
I'll settle for just a little warm understanding. For old time's sake.
Now, stop. Now, stop it. I said stop.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knocked, but the front door is a little far from the ringside.
Mr. Parker was just leaving.
Yes, he was. Yes, indeed. You win round one. I want to thank you for your hostility. Have a good day, sir.
From the look of him, he won't be on his feet for round 2.
Dan Parker, one of our resident bottle babies.
He does have his first feeding early, doesn't he?
Well, what's the verdict, Dr. Jones? I take it you've been looking into my symptoms?
I had Betty check with the photographer. His answering service does have a record that somebody called up to set up an appointment, but it doesn't show whether it was a man or a woman.
Meaning it could have been me.
Not necessarily. But the man in the bicycle shop's going to be difficult to convince. I showed him your picture, and he was certain that you were the one who ordered the bicycle.
That isn't possible. I don't believe this is happening.
Well, one layer doesn't make a cake. Let's wait till all the facts come in. I was hoping your husband would be here.
Not yet, please, Mr. Jones. I don't want him to know yet.
Well, I have to talk to him about the toys sometime. If you did not imagine all this, then someone may be trying to do you harm. Are you sure he was in Phoenix the night before last?
At this point, I'm not sure about anything, Mr. Jones. When I called the hotel that night, they said he wasn't registered.
And what does he say?
That there was some mix-up. Those things happened. Vincent wouldn't lie to me.
Well, when shadowy things are going on, I have to look in the shadows.
Vincent is my whole life, Mr. Jones. I trust him.
Cut. All right, set up this packet shot. That was fine, Doreen. The point is, you see, we not only have to convince the ladies out there that they get a Bermuda tan in every bottle, but they get a body like that to boot.
I'm sorry to interrupt your work.
Oh, interrupt me at work, but never at play. What's on your mind?
I don't quite know how to ask this.
Try putting it in the form of a question.
And you're probably my oldest and my dearest friend.
Well, that's very flattering to me, but it doesn't speak very highly for you. Did you and Vincent have a row?
No, nothing like that.
Too bad. I was ready to take his side.
And I was away a long time.
Well, I guess when they put you in a room with no knob on your side of the door, it seems like a long time.
Long enough, maybe, for Vincent to get interested in someone else.
Vincent? I'll tell you what you're talking about. I'm a very close neighbor with two all-seeing eyes separated by a very nosy nose. And you want to know if I saw any fun and frolic going on at your house with strange females while you were in the shrink tank. Am I right?
You have such a warm, compassionate way of putting things, Anne.
Well, you don't need warmth or compassion. You need a good spanking.
Maybe.
Look, Kay. All men are dogs. But Vincent is strictly a one-woman dog, believe me. I tried to seduce him a couple of times myself, once with a chocolate layer cake, and the other time with my noodle casserole, and those are my two best shots. And all he talked about were you and business. And I think you had it over business at least 2 to 1.
Well, I just thought
That's your problem. You imagine things.
Ready to go, Miss Danvers.
Oh, look, I've got to go before Miss Suntan fries herself underneath those lights.
Thanks, you're a treasure, you really are.
Oh, don't tell me. Tell Long John Silver in case he's still looking for treasure.
Thanks.
I said no. Now let me go.
Well, Mr. Parker, doesn't seem to be your day for girls.
Well, the day's young. I shall cast my net elsewhere. Sit down. Join me in a touch of social anesthetic.
Thank you, but the sea air is intoxicating enough for me.
Hemingway daiquiri. Rum over ice with just a breath of lime.
It's like they're cheating me on the line.
An acute observation, Mr.
Jones, Barnaby Jones.
You here to chastise me for that innocent little sparring with Kay which you observed this morning?
No, just curious as to why you wanted to hurt Mrs. Lewiston.
Hurt? Dear Kay inflicted the unkindest cut of all 10 years ago when she married that shining tower of ambition.
Lewiston seemed well suited.
She has yet to reap the full grief of her folly.
I think Mrs. Lewiston has had her share of unhappiness.
One of these days, I'm gonna straighten up to new heights of respectability. She'll weep for the mistakes she made.
The sheriff might be interested in hearing your plans for self-improvement.
If you're making a point, don't just whittle away at it.
Mr. Parker, you have a record of 3 arrests for beating up on women.
Little misunderstandings. No charges were ever filed.
Maybe the ladies were paid for their bruises. That keeps it private, but nonetheless painful.
As you say, private. My private life is my own business.
Your private life seems to have been a history of getting your own way or hurting someone. My only concern is what punishment you feel Mrs. Lewiston deserves.
Look, Jones, I don't know whether you're a doctor or a lawyer or what you are.
Friend.
Well, you're not on my list. So I must ask you to leave. It's a private table by invitation only.
Well, Mr. Parker, if Mrs. Lewiston is on your list, my advice is to take her off, because any further bruises to Mrs. Lewiston might result in repayment in kind.
What are you doing here?
Honey, what are you doing out here? I come home and the door's standing wide open. You're not in the house. What? Oh, good God. What happened?
I heard sounds and I went outside. When I got to the bluff, I saw him fall down onto the rocks.
Sheriff, really, she's in no shape for this.
No reason to trouble you any further right now. You know, Barnaby, I always figured that something like this might happen to Dan Parker.
You think he just walked off there in the dark?
Well, better walking than driving. Just lucky he didn't take 2 or 3 innocent people with him on the highway. Well, thank you both very much.
Ms. Lewiston, that voice you heard, did it sound like the child's voice you heard on the telephone?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Honey, now look, I'm sure you thought you heard a voice. But listen, imagination plays funny tricks on all of us sometimes, you know.
I heard it. I know I heard it.
Well, look, the doctor gave you a sedative for a reason. Why don't you go on in now and try to get some sleep? This whole thing's gonna look a lot clearer to you after a good rest, okay?
Maybe I should. I'm very tired.
Mr. Jones.
You go on, plop all those worries into a goose-down pillow. You know, I'm a fisherman, and sometimes a line that looks all snarled up will come free with just one little tug.
Now, Mr. Jones. I want you to tell me something. What are you fishing for here? The Kay said she hired you. Some nonsense about a panda bear. And a phone call from a theater that's not even open. What is all that?
Well, it could be that somebody's trying to convince your wife she's losing her mind.
Ah, I see. No. You see, Sandy's death left some very deep scars on Kay. I mean, that woman walks around this house speechless for weeks. She was next to catatonic. And, you know, we thought and hoped that the time she spent in the sanitarium and healed the wounds, but, well, maybe not.
Mr. Lewiston, I understand your wife tried to call you in Phoenix the night of the big storm and didn't get you.
Yeah, I explained that whole thing to her. That was just, you know, a big mix-up down there is all.
No, it wasn't a mix-up. I investigated it personally. You checked out of the hotel at 7:30 that evening.
Listen to me. I don't want you ever to breathe a word of that to her.
Maybe you better explain.
I'll explain. It's very simple. See, Kay is deathly afraid of small private planes. Now, I promised her that I would never fly in one. Well, I had to be in Long Beach that next morning. I've got a friend with a small private plane, and he agreed to fly me, and I accepted, but I don't want her to know that. I spent the night in a motel down there in Long Beach. Next day, I transacted my business and came on back.
Well, maybe you can give me the call letters of the plane or identify the motel?
Mr. Jones, really, I've plowed through so many figures in there this last month. I mean, you know, I can barely remember my own phone number.
Mr. Lewiston, you realize that Long Beach is well within the range of anyone attempting to terrify your wife?
Are you accusing me?
If you're so firmly convinced that all these strange happenings are purely imaginary, then how can you get the feeling that anybody's accusing you of anything? Tell your wife I'll call her after she gets some rest. Hey! Get out of here.
Come on, Steve.
Hey, Buzz, you got a plan.
Oh, what do you know about that?
Yeah, Barnaby, there's nothing we didn't expect in the preliminary autopsy report. A long fall and a hard landing.
Blood alcohol content rather low. You couldn't really arrest a man for drunk driving with a count that low.
Well, drunk walking is something else, especially up there along that bluff where the footing's bad enough in daylight, let alone in the dark.
Distance from the path to the bluff is only a few feet. Might make a world of difference in whether Dan Parker died accidentally or on purpose.
Oh, you private investigators. You have a habit of trying to make something out of nothing.
That may be, but one thing I'm out of the habit of, though, is changing tires.
Oh?
Have you got anything on 3 young people, 2 fellas and a girl? One of the fellas sometimes wears a football jersey, short sleeve, number 66.
Oh. Young kid, about 17, straight blonde hair?
Yeah. Little rascal just let the air out of my tire. And the other 2 handled the wheels, the getaway van.
Well, Barnaby, if you want to sign a complaint, their folks will be over here before the ink is dry. Besides that, they'll bring a lawyer who makes more in 1 week than I make in an entire year.
Regular customers.
Well, we try to grin until they grow out of it. I sure wish they'd bring spanking back into popularity.
They have anything in their record that the state would consider more than a spanking offense?
Well, we hauled them in here a couple of months ago. Somebody complained about them having a marijuana party on the beach.
No sale?
No evidence. We gave them a talk about support your local sheriff and let them go. Funny thing, though. They kept accusing Mrs. Lewiston of turning him in.
She didn't say anything about that to me.
Well, it wasn't her at all. I told them that. They wouldn't believe me. The young girl, Angie, kept yelling, "That lady's been crazy ever since her kid was killed. They ought to put her away, not us."
Maybe Kay came home from the hospital too soon, Vincent.
Or not soon enough. I don't know what to think.
Kay, should you be up?
Hello, sweetie. How are you, better?
I feel a little dizzy.
Well, sit down. Here, take it
No,
easy.
I just realized I haven't had anything to eat since yesterday noon.
Oh, well, I'll rustle up something potluck, if I can find the pot.
No, I'll do it myself. I don't want to be waited on like I'm some sort of patient. I think there's some bread in the freezer. The sandwiches be all right?
Sure. Kay, what is it? Kay, what is it? Kay, sit down. What is it?
Kay, I'll call the doctor. She needs help.
Kay. Let's have a little talk, Sonny.
Hey,
You run away this time, and I'm going to drive this thing right in the water and let the tide fill it up.
Okay. Okay, so I let the air out of your tire. So I plead temporary insanity.
You're getting pretty long-legged to be cute anymore, son. All I want to do is have a talk.
About what?
The Lewiston house. Cars seem to have a tendency to get flat tires up there. You been up to anything else up there?
We always hang out there. That's our territory.
What about 2 nights ago, the night it rained?
Hey, we know enough to stay out of the rain.
What about last night?
Oh, Angie dragged us off to some friend's house to make pizza. We missed the whole thing. That lush Parker taking his dive, I mean.
That's your territory. You must have had a good opportunity to see what went on up there when Mrs. Lewiston was in the hospital.
So the house has got two-way glass. So what are you getting at?
See anybody else up there while Mrs. Lewiston was away?
Only that woman.
What woman?
I don't know. I never really got a close look at her.
Did she spend a lot of time with Mr. Lewiston?
No, mostly she was up there when he wasn't even home. Used to see her walking around inside the house. Taking care of things for that crazy lady, I guess.
Or herself, maybe?
How is she, Doctor? Kay is suffering from severe shock, Vincent. What happened?
Well, I don't think I know. She slept for a while after that sedative that you gave her. Then she woke up, she was hungry, she went into the kitchen.
Did she say anything before? Was she rational?
Oh, yeah. What'd she say? She said, I think I've got a loaf of bread in the freezer, if you don't mind sandwiches.
Then when she came back out, she was, well, you saw.
Well, we won't know any more for 2 or 3 hours. She's sleeping now. I'll be in touch with you, Vincent.
Thank you, Dr. Morris. I've got a whole office full of people from Washington in about 25 minutes. I've got to get to a phone and cancel.
No need to do that. The doctor said it's going to be 2 or 3 hours. I'll call you if anything happens. Go on.
All right. Thank you, Annie.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you. No, if I can catch a cab, I'll just about make it. Another time, Mr. Jones, please.
Such a terrible strain on him. I don't know how he manages.
You mentioned calling a taxi. Did he ride here in the ambulance with Mrs. Lewiston?
Yeah. It's a good thing, too. I was so upset I could hardly drive myself. Poor Kay.
You've known her a long time.
Yeah. I used to be able to make her laugh. I guess that's all over now.
Barnaby, You know, when it's not your own home sweet home, I think it's called breaking and entering.
Are you getting too old for this kind of work, Betty?
I'm just offering a legal observation.
Well, keep observing. On a round trip from the patio to the kitchen, Mrs. Lewiston saw something that caused her to go into shock. I wonder if it could have been this.
May I see it? Oh, what a pretty little girl. Is this the panda she was talking about?
Or one just like it. The panda that walks in the rain.
Barnaby, you don't think she was imagining it all, do you? I mean, the panda and the voices?
It's possible that Dan Parker heard the same voice. Let's go look in the kitchen. I think I have a loaf of bread in the freezer, is what she said.
Well, she was right about the bread.
She wouldn't be scared speechless by a loaf of frozen bread.
What's that?
Give me that picture from the living room. Looks like our panda could have come in out of the rain.
When she opened the freezer door.
You can find me a knife.
She said one eye was loose.
Kay Lewiston has been seeing and hearing things that are real, not imagined. I want you to do some checking for me, real fast.
I can't stay here overnight, Anne.
Calm down.
Where's Vincent?
I can't get in touch with Vincent. I have tried for 2 hours, but I'm sure he'd want you to stay right here.
I can't. I can't stay in this place.
All right. I'll take you home. Maybe he'll be there when we get there.
I just want to get out of here.
No, this way.
Vincent isn't here.
He'll be here. You'll see.
I don't want to go to bed. I want to wait for Vincent.
If you think I'm going to sit and grow old with you waiting for Vincent, I operate a drive-home tuck-in service, that's all. Now get undressed and get into a robe. I'll draw you a nice warm bath.
Mommy, please. It hurts. Help me. Mommy.
Anne! Anne! What is it? What's the matter?
Didn't you hear it?
Hear what?
Listen.
Mommy, help me.
There. Did you hear it?
Kay, I didn't hear anything. Get hold of yourself. The bath will help you relax. The sounds will go away.
Please, Mommy, it hurts. Help me, Mommy. Mommy.
Kay! Do you hear me, Kay? In the closet, Sandy's teddy bear. There's nothing in there. You're not well, Kay. We know that, don't we? You're not going to get well. Never. We know that now, don't we?
I can't live this way. I want to die.
I know. I understand.
I want to be with Sandy. Die. I want to die.
Mommy? Here I am, Mommy.
No, please don't. Please don't.
I'll help you. It'll all be over. No more voices. No more pain. Don't worry, Kay. It's all so easy. Come on. Vincent. Please, where are you? Vincent? Don't worry about Vincent. He'll be fine with me. He needs a strong woman. Oh, please don't, Sandy. Here you are, Kay. It's all so easy. The door will be locked and no one will know. Go on, take him. Go on, Kay.
Mommy? Mommy, help me. Mommy, help me.
I miss my baby. You'll see your baby. Not long now. And don't worry about Vincent.
Mommy, please.
You're very talented, Miss Danvers, but I don't think your talent quite extends to a perfect murder.
No! Oh, Vincent, I'm so glad you're here. You don't know what's been going on. You've got to get me out of here immediately.
You're not going anywhere, Ann. You're not going anywhere.
All of you. You were all in on this together.
Why, Ann? Why would you do this?
Why?
Yes, I want to know why you did it.
Because I love you. She bought you. A weak, silly woman falling apart like a fragile doll over a child. You need a strong woman. You need me. You need me.
Operator, give me the sheriff.
Barnaby Jones, starring Buddy Ebsen. Also starring Lee Merriweather, with guest stars Don Porter, Joel Fabiani, Jane Merrow, Stephen Elliott. Tonight's episode, Web of Deceit.
I was beginning to think you forgot.
The people in the next house were out on their patio. I was afraid they might see you come in. And if Mr. Tatum found out...
You are afraid, aren't you?
He'd fire me, Stephen. He's told me so many times that I'm never to let anyone in the house unless he says to. Oh, Stephen, darling. Let's go inside. He won't be back until 11. 2 heavenly hours.
There's no chance the cook will come home, is there?
She has a sister. She stays with him on nights off.
This calls for champagne. Where does he keep it?
He doesn't. Would 12-year-old Scotch be acceptable?
Only if there's some sort of snack to go with it.
I'll see what there is in the fridge.
I'll get the drinks.
The drinks are in the living room.
you were famished?
I am.
It's Mr. Tatum. Oh, Stephen, please hurry. Please.
Now, don't worry. He won't see me. I'll call you tomorrow.
Put your hands behind your head and keep them there.
Take it easy, Mr. Tatum.
Montgomery? Adam Montgomery?
I found some extremely interesting memos in your file, Mr. Tatum, but I'd be pleased to forget them if you...
I said to keep them there.
If you forget that I dropped in this informal manner.
Not a chance. You've been trying to get me and Jim Brock for a long time. Those libelous innuendos in your filthy column and on television.
They were libelous. Why haven't you sued?
Because you know just how far to go without laying yourself open. But this time, caught in the act of breaking and entering, that's a tough one to beat.
Uh-huh. But I'll see to it that what I found in those memos comes out at the trial. Looks like a standoff, doesn't it?
I've got a better way to get you off my back. I surprised a prowler here, and I shot him. Didn't recognize him in the dark as the famous Adam Montgomery.
He's dead.
He shot himself.
Suicide? The maid. She must have heard.
She's in the shower.
But I'm positive it wasn't suicide, Mr. Jones. My husband wasn't the kind of man who caved in under pressure and gave up.
Yeah, but you were away, Mrs. Tatum. Isn't it possible that your husband may have been under pressures that you didn't know about?
He wouldn't have taken his life, no matter what.
Here you are, Mrs. Tatum.
Thank you.
Did you take cream?
Yes, thank you.
I called the police after you phoned. Did you know that your husband was shot at close range?
Yes, I know. They told me. Powder burns.
Did he also tell you that the test that they conducted indicated that he fired the weapon?
Well, that doesn't prove he fired it himself. I was in Europe. It's the first time we've ever been apart for more than a day or two. We planned to go together. that he couldn't make it because
Why not, Mrs. Tatum?
some sort of crisis in his work.
Have any idea what the crisis was?
He never talked to me about business. But it did seem to help to have me around.
Did he ask you to call off the trip?
No, on the contrary. Well, we arranged to travel with another couple, and he insisted I go. He said he was going to catch up with us. And then when he called me that day...
He called you in Europe.
It was 3 hours before he was shot. To tell me that he was flying over the next day to join us. Would he have made that call if he had suicide on his mind?
Did you tell all this to the police?
Yes. Well, they consider the physical evidence conclusive. Well, maybe it is. Maybe I'm grasping at straws and wishful thinking because I feel so terribly guilty.
It's strange, isn't it? When someone we love dies, we always have those irrational feelings of guilt.
Why not irrational if it was suicide? It's my fault. I should have been here when he needed me. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your time, Mr. Jones. It was clear from the start that you'd already made up your mind.
That's pretty close to the truth, but one way to prove you have a mind is to be able to change it.
Today's question: is there any connection between the death of Charles Tatum and the rumors that the mighty empire created by James Everett Brock has been built on shifting sands? Or should I say, shifty? Tatum was second in command to Brock, that shadowy industrial Midas about whom so little is known. There have been hints that Tatum took his life because the walls were closing in on him and Brock. In the very near future, I can promise you more than hints. In upcoming editions of Report from Montgomery.
Adam? I caught your broadcast in a monitor room. Why are you still holding back on the memos?
I break the story now, they might reopen the investigation of Tatum's death.
Well, there's no way they can find out we were there.
No. Brock would know those memos are in Tatum's file.
Well, you could say somebody slipped the copies under your door. Brock has so many enemies.
I will decide what to say and when to say it, Larry. Did you get anything on the land commissioner's story?
I always get something.
Proof of bribery?
Well, not yet, but enough for a column.
Good opening hook. Very good.
It's the same all the way through, like every column with Adam Montgomery's byline.
You know how long I was at it before I got a byline?
Were you writing columns and telecasts that were used word for word?
Matter of fact, I was. Stop pressing, Larry. You'll get there.
When?
When I retire. It'll be a report from Larry Coulter then, and you can have that in writing. Have you seen the Tatum maid?
Now, why would I see her?
Because a jilted girl with a broken heart might start crying on somebody's shoulder. The less she says about you, the better.
What can she say? A man she knows as Stephen Chadway, address unknown, was in the house?
Do you have your phone number?
I'll change it.
Phone numbers can be traced. See her, Larry. Make sure.
I didn't hear the gunshot. It must have been when I was in the shower. I came in here later to make sure that the doors and windows were locked. I always check everywhere before going to bed.
That's a good idea. If everybody did that, it'd make things much tougher for the burglars.
That's when I found the body. It was there.
According to the police report, it was a cook's night out and you were home alone.
That's right.
No visitors earlier in the evening?
I'm not allowed to have any guests. Mr. Tatum was very strict about that.
Well, that's very strict indeed. What if an old friend dropped in and unexpectedly?
I don't have any friends.
Pretty girl like you, I would think that you would have a boyfriend.
No.
I would think they'd be swarming around like bees in a field of clover. In the police picture of this room, it seems to me that 2 of those glasses were missing. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes, I put those back the next day. They were in my room.
2 glasses.
I had a glass of ginger ale in the morning and another one in the afternoon.
And you came all the way out here to get them. Isn't there any ginger ale in the pantry near your room?
No, we don't keep any there.
I have an appointment with my attorney, Mr. Jones, but I can cancel it if you want to talk to me.
Oh, no, Mrs. Tatum. I just want to speak to you a couple more minutes. Thank you very much, Miss Paget.
I'll be in my room if you want me.
Thank you. According to the police report, there was nothing missing.
That's right. I checked carefully. Oh, one thing you might not find in there is a file box was over here. Mr. Brock had some of his men pick it up after the police investigation was completed.
After the police investigation? Was James Everett Brock?
My husband worked for him.
Any idea what was in the files?
Just business papers, I suppose.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Tatum. I won't take any more of your time. Oh, do you happen to have any ginger ale in your pantry?
Oh, yes. I can have Hillary bring you a glass.
No, thank you. But I would like to use your phone.
Oh, yes, of course.
Eddie? I got a little job for you.
He's leaving now. Stephen, I'm worried. I'm sure he suspects somebody was here that night.
What's his name?
Barnaby Jones. And if he finds out I've lied to him,
There's no way he can prove it.
Mrs. Tatum would fire me. I'd lose my work permit, have to go back home.
Maybe we'd better get together and talk about this.
I still think it'd be best if I were to tell her the truth now.
No. See if you can get the afternoon off.
But Stephen,
Do as I say. Call me right back, huh?
The guard at the elevator says I need a pass to see James Everett Brock. My name is
Adam Montgomery. I recognize you right off, Mr. Montgomery. Adam Montgomery for Mr. Brock.
Mr. Montgomery? My name's Barnaby Jones. I never miss your program or your column.
Tell Mr. Brock it's very important.
Mr. Montgomery says it's very important.
Mr. Brock? Hey, I bet that ties in with what you said on your show about the walls closing in.
Sorry, Mr. Montgomery. You'll have to phone for an appointment.
Maybe if I went up and told his secretary what I want to talk to him about?
Yes, sir.
Oh, would you please call Mr. Brock and tell him that Mr. Holmes would like to see Jim Ev.
Jim Ev?
Yes, Jim Ev. That's for James Everett. We're old friends.
Gentleman here to see Jim Ev. He's an old friend. I'm Mr. Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. You're to go right up, sir. The executive elevator. Show the pass to the guard.
Much obliged. Nice to have seen you, Mr. Montgomery.
Nope. No, Bob. Nope. That's not the way we set it up. That's right. Come in, Sherlock. I'll be right with you. No, I'm not interested in any counter proposals. You have until 5 o'clock. Right. Yeah, hold all calls. It's been a long time, Barnaby.
You're looking good, Jim Ev. What's your secret? Clean living?
I don't swing the way I used to when you handle that case for me.
Never saw so many look-alike redheads in all my life. I couldn't tell one from the other.
You were able to single out the one who was trying to blackmail me.
Just luck. Hey, you've certainly come a long way since then.
Just luck?
Same kind of luck you had when you had that financial difficulty about 5 or 6 years ago. I heard that you almost went under. The banks were about to take you over.
Rumors. I haven't had any real trouble at any time.
Well, you always did have the ability to bounce back, to land on your feet.
Beautiful view. You didn't come up here to see the view. What is it, Barnaby?
Charles Tatum's wife doesn't believe that he was a suicide.
She thinks he was murdered.
That's what I'm being paid to find out.
Any leads?
Well, I was kind of hoping I might get one from you. How long ago was it that Tatum came over here to JEB Enterprises?
About 5 years ago.
About the time you got into your jam, wasn't it?
I wasn't in a jam.
That file that you took out of Tatum's living room, was there anything in that that somebody may have wanted to latch onto?
Routine business papers.
Mind if I take a look at them?
I'm afraid not. Government contracts, we have to keep it confidential.
First the routine, now the confidential. Is some kind of a runaround?
You know me better than that, Barnaby.
Yeah. Well, I came up here hoping for a lead, and I'm still hoping.
Sorry, there's nothing I can give you.
Well, I guess it's like my uncle once said, hope is like a hen that lays more eggs than she can possibly hatch. Thanks for seeing me, Jim Ev.
All right, anytime.
Stephen, why were you so anxious to keep me from telling Mrs. Tatum?
Well, you're the one who said she might fire you.
Yes, but then I said I thought it would be best.
Hillary, tell me exactly what Barnaby Jones said.
Penny said, anybody here earlier that evening? Stephen, you did leave the house, didn't you?
That's an odd question.
Oh, darling, I'm so upset I scarcely know what I'm saying.
Well, you don't think I had something to do with Mr. Tatum's suicide, do you?
Of course not.
You're all wound up, Hillary. Why don't we drive over to my house for a drink?
I couldn't do that.
It'll do you good. Hey, tonight we'll have a nice barbecue dinner, a bottle of wine.
I told Mrs. Tatum I'd be back by 6.
So call her and tell her you're staying with a sick friend. Hey, there's a phone over there.
She's not at home now.
Well, okay, you can call her from my place when she gets back.
Barnaby, you were right. She does have a boyfriend. They just drove off in his car.
Well, it would have been nice if you'd have followed them, found out where they were going.
I would have, but a van blocked me in. I got the license number.
Good. Check it out, Betty. I'm on my way to the Tatum house. Call me there.
Right.
Excuse me. Excuse me for running off like this. All of a sudden, I realized there was a cake in the oven that had to come out right away.
Well, I hope you made it in time, Mrs. Snyder.
I did. Oh, maybe you'd like to have a slice when it cools off? Do you like linzer torte?
I think I'd love anything you baked.
Oh, thank you. But you were talking about Hillary, no?
Yes. It's too bad she doesn't have friends here.
I think maybe she just met somebody.
Oh?
At the bridge club. She's been going there on her night off.
And this somebody is a man?
He called a couple times and she was out. Now, he did not give his name. All he said was he'll call back later. He sounded very handsome.
Miss Snyder, that driveway gate out there, is that the only way in and out?
No, there's one right there. But it's almost never used. What is it?
Looks like a small piece of wood.
Oh, that must have fallen off a tree.
Yeah, it came off a tree, was made into a matchstick. Looks like somebody didn't want this gate to latch.
Now, why would somebody want to do something like that?
Well, that is something that could stand looking into.
Oh. A piece of broken matchstick in the latch. What else did he say? Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Schneider.
Larry?
Yes?
I thought your name was Stephen.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know what you're thinking. The man who lived here before neglected to give the post office a change of address.
And you open his letters?
The ones that look like junk mail, yes, just to make sure before I throw it away.
You're lying, aren't you?
What are you talking about?
It's all been a sham, hasn't it?
Honey, you're not making any sense.
The cook says that detective, Mr. Jones, says that someone wedged the gate open that night. That there was someone there. That Mr. Tatum didn't commit suicide.
Hillary, you know how I feel about you. Now, if you just give me a chance, I can explain everything.
I think I'd better go. We can talk about it tomorrow.
Now, listen, you're leaving.
No, let me go.
Did you tell anybody I was there that night? Did you? Good. You know, it's a shame I can't depend on you anymore. Hello.
Good morning, Larry.
Don't you ever check with your answering service. I've been trying to get you all night.
Did you get what I wanted on the land commissioner story?
No. No. It's about that problem we discussed after your telecast yesterday. I had to bury it. You what? There was a problem. It was the only way to handle it. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, there's a tall, gray-haired guy at the door.
It could be Jones. He saw Brock yesterday.
I'd better call you back.
Morning.
Morning. What can I do for you?
Well, I hate to bother you this early in the morning, but are you Steve Chadway?
Yes, who are you?
My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, what's this all about?
Looking for a young lady named Hillary Paget. Her employer called me rather upset because Hillary hadn't come home and they hadn't heard from her.
Why come here? I barely know her.
A friend of mine saw you two driving away from the park yesterday. She picked up the license number. The rental agency said the car was checked out to you.
Oh, well, I just happened to run into Hillary yesterday. We started talking, you know?
Where'd you drive her to, Mr. Chadway?
I dropped her off at the bus stop.
She say where she was going?
Well, home, I figured.
Funny she wouldn't have asked you to drive her there. It's only a few blocks from the park.
It is?
You never been to the Tatum house?
No. You see, Mr. Jones, she didn't ask to be let off at the bus stop. I made a play for her, and she got a little huffy, and so I dropped her off.
You always leave your starter in the fire after it started?
Oh, I forgot to take that out.
What'd you do, plan a little barbecue last night and get interrupted by something?
That's exactly what happened. But there was nobody with me, if that's what you're driving at.
Well, in my line of business, you have to touch all bases. Incidentally, what's your line? I'll need that for my report.
The salesman.
Got a business address?
You know, I'm between jobs, and I have to leave right away. I've got an interview about a new job.
Well, I just have one more base to touch. You mind looking at this? You know this man?
No, never saw him.
Well, looks like I've come completely around the barn, back to where I started. Thanks for your time.
Where did you get a copy of this memo that you sent me, Montgomery?
Somebody slipped it under my door, along with copies of other memos.
Just slipped it under the door.
Yeah. Must have been somebody with a grudge against you. It's all there, Mr. Brock. It was mob money that bailed you out of the trouble you were in 6 years ago. If that information leaks out, you'll lose millions in government contracts.
What do you want?
Job like mine takes a lot out of a man. And I've been at it for a lot of years. 19 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Long speeches bore me.
My doctor says I ought to slow down. There's a bit of a problem.
Money.
Yeah. Made a lot, spent a lot. Just never acquired the habit of saving.
How much do you want?
What I want's a job. Man retires, lets down completely.
What kind of a job?
I think you can find a spot for me. Maybe in one of your foreign branches. South of France, preferably. I'd like that. Something not too taxing, but high paying. Kind of a public relations job.
What if I retire you with a bullet?
There's a codicil to my will. Something happens to me, those memos are made public.
Well, maybe I can find a job for a good man like you.
What do you have there?
Why did I have to drive all the way out here? Supposing somebody did see us together.
You're sure nobody followed you?
Of course I'm sure. Adam, you're getting paranoid. Now, what is this all about?
Report from Coulter. On the air and in your favorite papers 5 days a week. It's all yours, Larry, beginning tomorrow. I'm retiring, like I said I would.
There has to be a catch.
There isn't. Just one condition. You agree never to use the memos.
Never?
Has to be part of the agreement.
So you made a deal with Brock?
Why not? I get what I want, you get what you want.
Well, you always wanted to set up a retirement plan. I bet it's a good one.
I take it you're in agreement?
Sure. Why not? When do I take over?
Right away. But there's one thing you have to take care of first.
What?
Well, if
Barnaby Jones ever connects you with Tatum's death, you're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
But you are good at handling things like this. You'll handle this one, we're both home free.
I telephoned Lieutenant Biddle, as you asked, but he hasn't received the fingerprint report.
Well, Betty, it's getting late. Why don't you go home? I'll wait for it.
Oh, well, I've got a few more letters to type. Why don't I go out and get us some hamburgers, hmm?
No. I'll get the hamburgers. I wouldn't want you to be raising a furor about the working conditions.
Today's question: did one of the land commissioners take a bribe? You'll get the answer to that in tomorrow's broadcast. But, and this is my scoop for the day, you won't get it from me.
I'll get it.
After giving the matter much thought, your weary reporter has decided to retire. A man who has been my right arm for years will be taking over. Instead of telling you who he is, I'll let him make the announcement tomorrow, so that he can start off with a scoop.
So Adam Montgomery is retiring. Oh? After all that talk about having Brock on his side, he quits cold without firing a shot. I wonder why.
I think I have something you're going to like.
What?
Lieutenant Biddle got the fingerprint report. Stephen Chadway's real name is Larry Coulter. He's an investigative reporter. That's why his fingerprints are on file. Guess who he works for?
Adam Montgomery. No, it all keeps coming back to my hunch. It's all involved with that file. There's only one way to find out.
See the man with the file. Your old friend, Jim Ev.
How do you out-con a super con man? It's gonna be tough.
Right. Thanks. Mr. Brock is busy, but if it's important, he can see you.
Thank you. Oh, is Adam Montgomery still trying to crash the gate?
Are you ready for this? He came back yesterday, and they said send him right up.
You never know which way Jim Ev is gonna jump. If he fell in the river, he'd probably float upstream. Lieutenant Biddle, please.
Lieutenant, something I want to ask you.
What is it, Sherlock? I have a meeting to get back to.
Jim Ev, I think I can ward off some trouble for you.
Trouble?
Yeah, I took with a grain of salt what you said about the Tatum file. I put out the word that I was willing to pay big for information, and I got the word back.
From whom?
An informant. Said he knew somebody who had taken something from the file.
What?
I don't know. But I know what the asking price is, $150,000.
Well, that's a pretty steep price for a carbon copy of a business letter.
Yep, even if you knocked off a few zeros, it's too steep for me. You want to make a bid?
Couldn't be anything I'd be interested in.
Might be able to get the price down a little in exchange for a quick look at whatever it is.
Barnaby, I wouldn't give a plug nickel for anything in that file.
Well, if you change your mind, give me a call.
Get me out of Montgomery.
Montgomery.
This is Brock. Somebody's trying to shake me down through a go-between. It wouldn't be you, would it?
What are you talking about?
The memos. Somebody said they were up for sale, $150,000. You said nobody else knows about them.
Nobody does. Except, of course, for whoever it was that slipped them under my door.
Yes. The anonymous tipster. Well, if it wasn't you, you better find out who it was and do something about it, or our deal is off.
I'll get on it.
Barnaby? He's leaving now. I'll stay with him.
Okay. I'll get to the car and stay on the police van.
All right.
Adam, what's up?
You're going to level with me, or you've had it. Do you have extra copies, or was it just a bluff?
Extra copies? What are you talking about?
Come on, Larry. I got it straight from Brock that somebody's been trying to milk him for $150,000.
What? Now, Adam, wait a minute. It wasn't me.
Nobody else knew we got to the memos. It has to be you.
I told you I don't know what you're talking about. Are you trying to set me up?
I am talking about copies of those memos.
And if they can't get us on those, they keep digging until they get me on the girl's murder. Is that it?
That's very informative.
What is this?
Shut up. Not very smart of you, Mr. Jones. Coming here by yourself.
Meet Lieutenant Biddle of the Los Angeles Police.
You blew it! Afraid somebody might follow me, and it was you who led them here.
Drop the gun and turn around nice and slow.